Let's talk about jumping. I go into a lot of homes and I get jumped on a lot. And I think it's the rudest behavior. I don't care how big the dog is. I don't care how small the dog is. I think it's a rude behavior. And we constantly reward the dogs for jumping. We allow our company to reward the dogs for jumping because, well, what else are we supposed to do? And I say, one, you need to fix it. And this is where treats don't come into play. I don't care how many times that you can throw a bunch of treats on the floor and hope that your dog goes after the treat instead of jumps on you, because it's inevitable that they're either going to jump on you first or jump on you after they get the treats, and it's constantly being rewarded. If you want your dog to not jump, then you need to not let it, but you also need to help them understand that that is rude behavior. And this is something that goes against the grain of a lot of other trainers, that I don't believe in rewarding for jumping, and I don't believe in teaching them off. Because if I teach them off, that means that they can jump until I tell them otherwise. And my rule is, don't jump on me. If you want your dog to come up and be a part of you and be into you, and you want your dog to jump, you need to teach them to not jump first. And then when they're invited to come up to snuggle, then they can. So here's the rule with me. Jumping is a behavior that you need to create a lot of pressure. You'll see things like turn your back, step away, go away from the dog. I can tell you that they work about 50% of the time. It kind of sort of works. And I'm surely not going to tell my company, just turn your back to the dog and then have my dog jump on their back. It's rude and it's inappropriate and it's not okay. And again, I don't care if it's a Maltese poodle or a Yorkie or a Saint Bernard or a Great Dane and anything in between. Feet don't belong on people. If it's a little dog, you teach them up and I'll pick you up, but you don't get to jump on me to get up. So if your dog jumps on you, it is not a command to get off. It is a correction all the way around. I will give a verbal correction, don't you do that. I will give a physical correction, which is stepping into the dog. I'm not kneeing the dog. I'm not picking up my knee and throwing it into their chest. I'm stepping into them and creating space. This is my space, and if you're going to be in it like that, then get out of it. And you can be in my space when you're kind and that you're connected. I don't care if they bump into me. I don't care if they sit and lean into me. I don't care if they stand and lean into me. I just don't want them jumping. I have had so many bruises and so many cuts down my legs, and I can't imagine people's company being punched in the face, being scratched down the front of them, and being bruised all over or knocked down because we can't tell our dogs no. And this is an opportunity for you to learn how to tell your dog no and to get out of your space if you can't be there. One, I want you to go watch my leash video, and it talks about having the leash on your dog all the time. So if your dog jumps on somebody else, it is not somebody else's responsibility to correct your dog. It is your responsibility to grab a hold of that leash and correct them. On the leash, pressure up and away from the people, and when their feet go on the ground, then the pressure goes away. If your dog is struggling and cannot control themselves, then they don't need to be around your company until you have taught them and until they have earned the right to be there. If I let my dogs out of their crates and they run in and jump on somebody, they're in their crates the rest of the time. I don't try and see how they're going to be in an hour. I don't try and see how they're going to be in 10 minutes. It's, nope, you're not ready for that, and I haven't trained you well enough, so therefore you don't get to be out with everybody else because it's rude and they're just being reinforced. If I want my dog to learn to be around company, I'm going to have their leash on, I'm going to tie it to the corner of the couch where their bed is, and I'm going to let them be there while everybody is milling around and learning. That way, if people come in to pet my dogs and the dog jumps, then we can get out of their space and the dog is corrected for jumping because their leash is on and it's attached. So your company is not correcting your dog, but the leash is by back tying them. So I am very adamant about getting in their space, stepping into them, giving them a or don't you do that, and get out of my space. And when you're kind and polite, you can be in my space. There is no command to tell your dog to get off of you for jumping. jumping is rude and inappropriate. And so I'm giving you permission, and it goes against the grain of a lot of people out there that's training, but you need to correct your dog for jumping because it's rude.